Hey everybody, it's Ron at Becoming Enlightened Together. So we're here for yet another reading. I'm going to do two of them today, actually, to make up for the one I didn't do yesterday. I'm trying to be consistent where I can, and there's no guarantee from day to day that I can do it at all, or at least have the time to post anything. So, with that being said, okay, let's go ahead and just get right up into it. And I just keep that in mind that being collective readings and all of that, and you hear these types of disclaimers and just about anybody who does divination, and I haven't been doing it. I believe you know whether it's for you internally or not. I mean, if you are in the collective, your intuition has been, I believe, now everybody's on a different journey, and we're all at different levels in our spiritual journey as a whole. But I believe that as you go through all of your shadow work and you raise your vibration and everything else, that your intuition, your perhaps other abilities, your gifts become more and more clear. They're made manifest to you, and it's up to you to practice them. So, to understand them, to become better acquainted with them and their use, and to use them wisely in the way that they were meant to be used. Don't abuse them. Don't abuse your gifts, or you just as quickly lose them, and it'll be quite a loss once you've had it. So I just want you to know, once you understand what you had. All right, and we are in that process, by the way, where a lot of things are being revealed, those things which are done in secret, as well as many people from your past. If your vibration is raised up and everything else, you are like a beacon, or like a torch, or a flame, or a light, in reference to a moth. So people are basically feeling magnetized towards you. That's normal. So expect it. But you're also going to get people that can be extremely egocentric or driven or even narcissistic, sociopathic, psychopathic, avoidant personality, things of that nature. They're all drawn to you at this point. So, sorry about that. I hit the frame of the tripod. So, with that being said, the overall energy for the week as a whole is that of I saw. Yeah, I saw. Sorry about that. Doesn't do any good if I got the stone facing the wrong way. It's hard being me. So what is I saw? Well, I saw is basically telling you that it, is present, because the wisest thing that you can do currently is nothing. Nothing physically or tangibly, save you going within. Going within, seeking clarity, awaiting for your answers, and trusting your intuition. That's what I saw basically is, telling us. Now, that is matched with the end of this for the future and so on, that of Munyo, and we'll get to that at the end, but Munyo looks like just a very sharp angled, letter P kind of a thing when it's in the upright, and it is in this case, and that's good because it's the wishing room. So it's very, very positive. But in a nutshell, what that tells us is that it's the joy you can trust in your life. Why? Because you earned it. And that's basically the overall future outcome, or the potential outcome, I should say, because we all have free will. That can certainly change if we make a lot of mistakes and so on and so forth. But what is yours, you're not going to lose. It will come to you. Okay. If you haven't earned it, then don't expect to get it. Okay. It's just karma, dharma thing. So, and in your heart which side of the coin you are in that case. Okay. And it's, again, I'm not trying to shame anybody, or I'm certainly not trying to put anybody down, or I'm not saying the collective is better, blah, 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 blah. They're doing, better because they're further along in their journey. Other people with a few exceptions, just are not mature enough yet. They're not there yet. So they may have to go through multiple lifetimes before they get to that point, depending, whether they are a young soul or they've been here for a while, and how much accumulated karma they had to work through. And you can tell that through numerology. And I seriously have been thinking about starting, as a side note to this. It's so time consuming doing it, but I may actually develop, if I can get with somebody that really is good with software, a way of actually doing all this, whereas so I could do it more quickly. I can do it by hand, but it takes a long, long time, and I need information from the people in order to get, very precise information concerning their date of birth, place of birth, the same things you would need typically for your birth chart in general. So, and exactly how your name is written out according to your birth certificate, okay? The actual name you were given. You may have changed it, you may have gotten married, whatever the case may be, but you use your actual birth chart name. And then you start adding up, vowels and the number of consonants, and it gets you certain aspects to your character. And I found them to be, extraordinarily accurate. So it amazes me. The more I find out about, astrology or numerology or, divination in general, the more I'm just fascinated by it. But, not to the point of, oh, it's all mystical and all that. No, it's energy. When I can look at it from a more, I guess you could say, well-rounded foundation of having so many other parts that I could add to that and understand where it could fit in the great puzzle of life, I'm trying to put together. And I hope you are as well. Seeking truth. Then you start to develop, a truthful perception of this so-called reality, the matrix in which we all live, okay? And I call it that, not just because of the movie reference, because they got that actually from Max Planck, who is the father of quantum physics, basically in the 50s. And he talked about, made the quotes and so on, it is the divine matrix, if you will. Or this web, this thing that we call God, or the universe, or the creation, or creator, so to speak, is likened to, this existence, that it's been manifested for us. Something like a holographic depiction of what we think is a reality, okay? But when you keep in mind that everything is energy, I mean literally, it becomes easier to understand how some people can see certain things and other people cannot, okay? And it explains many other things too, other phenomena I'm not going to get into here because I've got to focus on the reading, but it's fascinating stuff. Alright, now as far as our present energy, what we have is that of Manus. And Manus basically is a room where it's like the mirror for you. It's who you are as you are among others. And it's basically shaping and being shaped as a result of your decisions. Are you who you really are? Are you being what you're supposed to be in terms of authenticity, authenticity's sake of, not accepting this person's perspective and way of doing things, or, whatever the case may be. It's not to say that, of course, you see something like a hairstyle, or maybe a clothing choice, or maybe a diet, or whatever, that you accept because somebody else is doing it. That doesn't mean you're not being authentic. It means, what is it that drives you? What are you passionate about? What do you do when nobody else is watching, and so on and so forth? If those things are good, those things are productive, if those things are actually, capable of helping, for example, another, or whatever the case may be, or maybe you're creating something, and that something is you're passionate about that something. Well, there's a very, very good chance that that is your life's purpose. Okay, and there's other ways of looking at that as well. And again, this is not the intent of this particular video, so I'm not going to focus too much on that. I know I do that sometimes. I get off on these tangents, and I can easily do that because I see things from so many different perspectives and angles simultaneously. My mind gets jumbled at times, but I trust my heart in this. So anyway, the present energy of man as other than being a mirror to your soul, who you really are, and so on. It talks about reflection, talks about self-awareness, community standards, things of that nature. It talks about the self, talks about modesty, thought, altruism, and basically that just means giving more to another than to yourself, kind of a thing. Creativity, again, your attitude towards others and theirs towards you, both your outlook on friends and enemies and their outlook upon you as well. Basically, intelligence, forethought, social order, your creative abilities and skills. And at this time, you can expect aid or cooperation in something. So if you're expecting something like that, well, it's indicating that it's on its way. It's coming. Okay, so just be patient. A lot of walking in faith is about patience. It really, really is. And may I suggest that if you're an impatient person, that you do not pray for patience, because you will be given the lessons necessary to help you gain that. Trust me, and it won't be pretty. So just keep that in the back of your mind, and realize that obstacles and challenges are part of the cycles of life. And once you learn how to overcome those, it will, in a sense, help you build the spiritual and psychological, in some cases physiological calluses necessary for you to, be toughened up, so to speak. Builds up your armor, things of that nature, so you can move forward and less obstructed or slowed down should these types of things happen later on down the line. You've already tackled this, so now you know what to do. Remember, it's always hardest the first time. First time is very difficult. You're forced to really go within and reflect, and sometimes it can take a tremendous amount of time, depending on what it is that we're talking about here. And those lessons, as long as you do not give up, at the end are going to be rewarded with like a medal, I suppose, spiritually or perhaps intuitively, but allows you to get through the next one just a little bit easier, okay? And makes you more aware of, some of the little nuances involved in that something. For example, maybe you just are very empathetic and you give a lot of love to people and so on who have not actually proven worthy of that love. And let's say take that to another levels where you fall in love with people's potential, the things that you see about them, that you don't see the red flags at first because you want to believe the best about those people, even though they may give you a lot of red flags. It's a hard lesson because of the hurts and the heartaches you're going to have to go through to get to that point. And it's not fun, and people usually go one of two ways. Either they build a callous, their conscience becomes seared, as the Bible would put it, or their heart is closed. Their heart chakra is completely closed off because they're fearful of getting hurt again. If you're living in fear, you're never going to get anywhere. And remember, the universe, it favors the bold. God, Spirit, your ancestors, your higher self, whatever it is that you believe in, it does. From my experience, my perceptions, and my vantage point with this knowledge intellectually, the way I feel intuitively, and my spiritual practices, I know it to be true, at least in my life, at least in my bubble of experience. Excuse me. Sorry. So I just chugged me down some coffee or whatever to get that extra, so I could get this going here. So I know I'm a bit of a freak at times, and that's okay. It's just who I am. I just don't hold it back, I mean, there are times when I do, but for the most part, I just try to be me. That way people can be comfortable, and hopefully it allows them through, the example of myself, that it's safe. It's safe to be who you really are. I'm not going to judge it, you know, but if there's something that I see that needs to be addressed, I will say something. You don't have to accept it. You can reject it, okay? And I can reject you for all that, you know, for that matter. So, I mean, that's what it's all about. Transparency, openness, honesty. Otherwise, you're living a lie, and you're not being authentic again. So, since the present energy is that of reflection, so along with manas, I just want to elaborate on that just a little bit, probably too much. Now, as far as our obstacles and challenges go, we have the rune Bcuz. Now, Bcuz is also in the reverse in this case. Now, since Bcuz is in the reverse, what it talks about is somebody who is right now, and remember, these are obstacles and challenges, so this is either coming up or this is something internally that you're battling with yourself, okay? But I feel that it is something exterior to you, so it's another person perhaps. Somebody who's coming in with an attitude. Possibly gone through or going through radical changes, possible coming out of an ending of something else, maybe another relationship or something. It's hard to say, it just talks about endings of some type. Which makes sense, you know, that's why they're coming back to you. It also talks about a completion of some kind, okay? It talks about limits and going full circle in something. Or that could be not good at all, okay? It doesn't necessarily mean that you've gone, like in the Wheel of Fortune card in tarot or whatever, where if you were down at the bottom or whatever and it turns for you, that means you're now at the top and all the good things, the blessings and so on coming to you. No, what I'm talking about is it's somebody just going in circles, not advancing, not making any forward momentum of any kind or progress of any kind or anything of that nature, okay? It's kind of hard to explain, but it's roughly around that when we're talking about it in the reverse. So again, it talks about somebody who's blind and maybe even feeling hopeless at this point. And you are out there, you're a crossroads, for example, and you're feeling this way. I leave the option open for everybody. If you want to drop me a message or whatever, you need some help or maybe a little advice or whatever, I will get back to you as soon as I can. I mean, you can see I'm not here every day lately, so I will get back to you as soon as I possibly can, okay? Because I believe in the golden rule. In fact, I believe it to be a universal law. Literally, like the laws of physics, which are nothing more than laws that were written down in many esoteric and exoteric works thousands of years prior to the advent of modern science. So they're just slowly catching up with what was known a long time ago. Okay. So that's your obstacles and challenges, all right? So like I said, you're either battling with that internally, and that could still be for a few of you out there, but it looks like this is somebody either coming back into your life and presenting you with these types of obstacles for you, but they're actually experiencing these things for themselves, perhaps, and maybe they're just trying to put on a good mask or whatever, a show for you. But if you get an inclination that there's something a little off or whatever the case may be, there's a good chance that this person is really going through it, whoever it is. That's kind of one of the possibilities here. Now, as far as our help and advice is concerned, again, it is I saw. But this time I saw is in the reverse. It may be pronounced Isa. Okay, but it is the letter I in our alphabet, or their alphabet, I should say. So, it basically refers to a breach of loyalty, okay? Now, this is your help and advice. So this is helping you to see it in advance that, again, that somebody that may be coming in who may be a friend, a family member, an ex-girlfriend, boyfriend, a spouse, it doesn't matter. It can't be specific because it's a general reading, but it could be under any of those guises or whatever. There may be indeed a breach of loyalty, something or someone that you would expect to be loyal or comes off as being loyal to you is perhaps wearing a mask, okay? So there's also a sense of the ego here, a tremendous amount of ego, in fact. So we're talking about narcissistic level, you know, egomania kind of a thing. But it's also somebody who's blind, somebody who is, well, they're dissipating. You can see them fading away. They don't look the way you last remember seeing them, for example. There's something off. Okay, I'll just say it could be physical, but it could also be something within their spirit you detect you didn't get the first time around. There's a sense of treachery behind whoever this is, so be careful. Somebody who is trying to cast illusions. They may use any one of the multitudes of psychological, warfare tactics, in terms of gaslighting and, just things of that nature. So, again, just know your truth. Doesn't mean argue, doesn't mean fight. It just means stand your ground, okay? So, deception and betrayal, again, part of this energy. Be on the lookout. Don't become paranoid, obviously, but we are being given this warning for a reason. So if you're out there, you're hearing this particular message, then it is for you in some way, shape, or form, or at least some part of this reading is going to be for you. I can say that. For some out there, this entire reading may be your reading. But for the most part, get energies from, everybody out there in the collective in regards to what the Spirit is trying to tell me in this particular scenario here. So this is also somebody who has a great deal of guile inside of them. Somebody who is planning, plotting, and scheming. They're very stealthy. They may out there be, stalking you, for example. Although stalking isn't part of this energy per se, these other energies could easily morph into that as well. So again, don't be paranoid, but be on your toes. Be aware. Now, the future outcome, as I've already stated, was that of Wunyo, and it's in the upright. That's the wishing room. And Wunyo basically is the joy you can trust because you earned it. So now I'm talking specifically to the collective. What else does it mean? It talks about joy and harmony, bliss, in fact. It talks about kinship, shared successes. It talks about partnership and, if you will, romance. It talks about wind, intelligence, thought, reason. That's basically what wind is in terms of divination. Now, it doesn't always apply exactly the same way in regards to divination in terms of the Norse way of doing things. You can apply it that way once you become, more involved in terms of the energetic reading and feeling and praying and understanding of things. You know that a lot of this was developed by individuals through the way that they experimented, they felt, and they developed a system, and that system was then incorporated and other people adopted their system. Well, you should adopt your own system. This is a personal, private thing. However, we can use other people's experiences from the past, to more or less cascade our way, to a higher level of understanding, whether it's divination or anything for that matter. That's what we do typically, right? That's why we go to school. We learn from other people's experiences, knowledge, insights. Well, that's what we're talking about. Typically, when we're talking about anything air-related in divination, that's why I threw that part in there. But it wasn't actually written in the definitions for this particular room. However, since it talks about the wind in particular, and it is in reference to, things that are basically joyful, things that we are getting that are positive, okay? So intelligence is a big part of that as well. Thought, reason, affection, blessings, pleasure, desire, ecstasy. Who doesn't want that? You know what I mean? Everybody does, right? Glory, it's good, but not all the time. You can overdo it just like anything else, and it becomes an addiction. It becomes obsessive, and then it becomes unhealthy. And there's going to be repercussions. Anything that falls into that category ultimately does hold some type of repercussions if you don't correct it and quickly. So spiritual rewards is also part of this, but also with the possibility of going overboard. And again, that's where pride comes in sometimes if we don't put it fully in check. In other words, control it instead of allowing it to control us. I got ego, I have pride and everything else. I can look back on my life and I say, compare it to blah, 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 blah. But at the same token, I say, but that was my journey. I needed to go through all of these things. I needed those experiences to help me with what my life purpose is. So, now, Wunyo is also about reason. It's about recognition of your own self-worth and being. And again, to break it down, it's the joy that you earned so you can enjoy it. You know it was earned. And if you were in the collective and you went through this very long last cycle that we went through, and that sometimes we're talking over a decade long for some of us, straight, no rest, maybe a breath here and there, but for the most part it was all uphill, being bogged down by a multitude of different weights and things of that nature. Alright, so that's where we're at. It's overall a very positive reading. That joy is coming your way. Aid and cooperation is coming your way. Reflect on who you are. Are you being your authentic self, or are you wearing a mask? If you're wearing a mask, you're not authentic, and you may be in need of doing some inner work, okay? Because it also reflects upon your vibration, your level of frequency, resonance, if you will. That's where I'm going to leave it, and I'll do the next reading here very, very shortly. Okay, so hopefully this encourages and helps somebody out there, and if you are on the other side of the coin per se, but you're looking to get out, I hope this will help you to see some of the things that may be going on that you were not aware of, and perhaps some of the actions you can potentially take to get on the right path and start working yourself out of this karmic loop that you more or less put yourself into. Okay? That being said, y'all take care. God bless. Stay victorious, and I'll see you someday. Bye. Later.